Okay, so I got to get on and talk about this recent Breakfast Club interview that they did with presidential candidate Vivek Ramaswamy. I think that's how you say it. Vivek. I'm gonna say Vivek. Okay. Now I didn't know what to expect when I turned this interview on, but shortly after, I think it started off kind of good, but shortly after, they invited I don't know who this lady is, right? They invited some random lady on here. I don't know who she is, what her relationship is with the Breakfast Club, but they invited some black lady on to, I guess, question Vivek about his political ideas, some of the things that he's advocated for, some of the things that he's written in his books. And I have to say, I didn't know much about Vivek before this interview, but watching how he was attacked during the interview makes me want to learn more about what he stands for and what he says, not because I think I would vote for him, but just because I think when we have people go on platforms like the Breakfast Club, and, you know, I'm not going to say the Breakfast Club is the most savvy when it comes to politics, or the most informed, or they ask certain questions, but what I will say is they do invite different groups of people to come on and speak, so I do respect them for that. But this interview, it just seemed like it was off, right? It just seemed like it was off because the person that was asking the questions, the black woman, if you go and watch it, she was just passive aggressive, dude. You could tell that she came in there in her feelings. And I know there are some people that are gonna say, oh, well, that's just you stereotyping black women, and, you know, a black woman can't be assertive without people saying she's an angry black woman. It's not even about that. It's not even anger. It's just that some of the things she was saying did not make any damn sense. She really was asking this man, like, she was trying to pretty much say, hey, look, you don't have any public service experience. And then she went on to say, okay, were you in public service when you were in middle school or high school? This dude is 37 years old. He was in high school 20 years ago. What the hell does it matter whether he was in student council when he was 16 or 17? And then the dude says, Vivek says, hey, look, I was in student council, but I was mainly doing that to get into college. Right? That's why most people are doing it. That's why no one at 16 or 17 years old, you can't even run for president until you're 35. No one at 16 or 17 is really doing student council and things like that so that they can go do, no, it looks good on a college application, okay? It looks good as a referral. But anyways, the main point that I want to get to is this. If you are going to be a platform, a black platform, that brings on presidential candidates, you have to be as impartial or unbiased as possible. Because listen, I knew nothing about Vivek, but like I said, when you have somebody on your platform and you ambush them and you bring somebody on that's passive aggressive, that is, you know, throwing personal attacks, like, you know, just the way the questions were worded and the way that they're asked, the tonality, the body language, the behavior of that black woman when she was on there asking the questions and saying what she was saying, it almost made me feel like, hey, look, I don't care what this dude has to say. You know, this is not an interview where I'm actually getting this person's ideas in a way to where I can sit with them and make it make sense, or see if it makes sense for me. This seems more like an ambush or an interview where you have somebody on. Look, this reminds me of middle school, right? This reminds me of middle school where we used to roast each other, right? We used to roast each other, say horrible things about each other. And there were always a couple kids who were the top dogs when it came to roasting, right? These people, they could roast anybody. This is what they do, okay? And you would always want like if you have a friend or you're in a group and there's that one person that's that top dog roaster, you would want them to go against someone else who's a great roaster, right? You would want to see that. You want to see who wins. It seems like the Breakfast Club went out and found somebody who they thought could come in and ask political questions in a way that would invalidate or dismiss whatever Vivek was saying, whatever his position was, and it backfired. Because all it did was make the Breakfast Club look weak. Charlemagne and Envy should have just left that lady out and asked their own questions, because Charlemagne, even though, he was saying he disagreed and stuff like that, that's cool. He was at least asking questions, listening, and things like that. DJ Envy, when it comes to the politics stuff, I never know with him. It seems like he kind of just rattles off, buzzwords and things like that. It seems like Charlemagne is more invested and reads more about these things, or listens more, pays attention more. I never really taken DJ Envy as the political dude or anything like that who's fighting for those types of changes. Charlemagne, I know he's willing to have conversations and really ask certain questions, and I think that he seems like he's more left-leaning, but he's at least willing to have the conversation with people on the other side of the aisle. And I just think it was a bad look for them to bring that lady on. It was a bad look to bring that lady on because, one, she just didn't do a good job at interviewing, right? The point of an interview is to ask questions, to pull information out. You can tell that that wasn't set up as an interview. That was set up as an ambush, like I was saying earlier. And I'll probably do a longer form video where I actually go through and point out some of the problems that I had with some of the arguments made while showing the video and reacting to it. But I had just watched it about an hour ago, and I have to say, I was like, yo, it must be election season again, because that black woman, she was in her feelings. She was in her feelings. And honestly, it was just like, it was one of those things that I see black women do a lot, where they make it seem like they're not upset, or they make it seem like they're not in their feelings or being emotional, but the whole time they're talking like this. They're like, yep, uh-huh, and very passive aggressive, sarcastic, just throwing little shots, fake laughing, fake smiling. Yeah, and I'm not saying only black women do this, but what I am saying is that I speak directly to black people because that's my community. And if we're going to interview people, we have to get control of our emotions, because all you're doing is pushing people to the other side of whatever you think they should be thinking. Like when you go on an interview, someone can have the worst ideas, the worst arguments ever. But if you're the emotional one, if you're the one that when people see how you interact with a person and you're treating them like crap, or you're treating them beneath you, you look like an asshole. And as much as people may not like someone's position on an argument, they really don't like when someone's an asshole, right? So if you make yourself look like an asshole, the other person can have the worst argument in the world. All people are gonna remember is that lady who got on, was passive aggressive, throwing little jabs at people, belittling somebody, and saying things where you can tell that she had a personal agenda to try to put down a presidential candidate. It honestly reminded me of those town hall debates and those interviews where people would try to come after Trump. And it was like, at a certain point, you can see this was a coordinated attack. This is something, they're not in here to ask legitimate questions. They're in here because they sat up all night or they sat up all day And they form these perfect questions that they thought would get them the gotcha moment. And when they ask the question and they don't get the gotcha, they have to dig in deeper and deeper to try to get that gotcha moment. And that's what they're trying to do. It's not a real interview. It's not a real question because you want to know the answer so that you can make a decision. It's I thought of this question that's going to trip you up. I'm coming with an argument, right? So that's my short perspective on it. Yeah, I'll do a longer video here soon on it. Also, I am coming out with a new segment on the podcast called Racism is Not Holding You Back. This segment is going to be a live segment where I talk about why I think racism isn't holding you back. People can come in and come up and debate me if you think racism is holding you back. Should be fun. I'm going to challenge you because I don't think racism is holding you back. So I want to hear from people who think racism is holding them back. Should be interesting conversations. So yeah, make sure you hit that like button, comment, subscribe. More content to come. And thank you for watching.